Hey everyone, good morning. It's Bernie. Welcome back to my channel. So today I'll be filming a very quick tutorial to show you how I made my puppy's blanket. I made it using 24 squares, just 4 squares by 6 squares, so 24 squares in total. I will have measurements for this blanket in the description box below, because I quite forgot to measure before sitting down. I use these colors because they resemble what the puppy will eventually look like once he's all grown. So I've got brown and beige and then blue and gray, because he's going to end up he's already turning gray, so he's going to be a blue gray Yorkie when he's fully grown. And these colors just reminded me of, this is his face colors. The brown and the beige is currently tan, beige, and black, and gray. And so he's going to lose his black coloring eventually. And then I just thought I would make a blanket um, to match him. He's scratching at the door at the moment, but we're not going to let him in because he's actually quite annoying today. So he is my daughter's problem for now. So let's get started. I've already worked up 3 little squares because I want to show you how I joined this blanket. Oops, throw it on the couch behind me. The blanket is completely reversible. This is the right side of the work. This is the wrong side of the work. And then I joined both sides of all the squares within the same manner, and that is what I'm going to show you, so that you can make this blanket any size you want. You can make your squares any size you want. My squares ended up being roughly 6 by 6 inches. And I actually did not block my squares, and I think I really should have, because one of the yarns, this yarn was, although it's a DK weight similar to the others, this DK weight seemed just a little bit thicker as I was working along with it, and so it sort of pulled my squares out of proportion. But I did block it afterwards. But now also the puppy has been using the blanket for a while now, and yeah, it doesn't look very good currently. But that just means it needs a wash, so we will do that later today. Look at all the little bubbles in the hair. So 6 by 6 squares is what I went with. You can of course make bigger squares if you're making a much bigger blanket. I'm simply going to be working on 1, 2, 3 rounds with you, because the pattern is super easy, I promise. I'm making a 3 by 3 little square with you. I'm going to be joining the 4 to show you what I did for my squares, and I hope that you enjoy making a little blanket along with me. So let's get these out of the way, and let's start with a magic ring, or you can literally just do a chain 2 and then work into that first chain, and then substitute it as a magic ring if you would like to do that. I just like to use a magic ring. And I'm going to do my stack single crochet, which will count as my first double crochet. I'll be placing 2 more double crochet, 1 and 2 for a total of 3. Chain 1, place 3 more double crochet. So this is the basic start of a basic granny square, although we're not making a normal granny square, 3 double crochet, chain 1, 3 more double crochet, chain 1, and 3 more double crochet. So I'm going to put my under the table. Hopefully the yarn will flow better. 2 and 3. And I'm not going to be joining with a slip stitch. I'm going to cinch up my circle, and I'll be joining to that first double crochet with a single crochet, so that I end up right smack in the center of that corner space. So I'm going to immediately make a single crochet in that corner and stack another one on top, and that will count as my first double crochet of this round. Yarn over, place another double crochet into that same space, and then we are looking at our first cluster of 3 double crochet, and we'll be doing some post double crochet stitches. So yarn over, insert your hook around the post, around the back, pushing the post to the front, and complete a double crochet. That'll be your first front post double crochet. We're now going to make a back post double crochet by yarning over, inserting the hook around the back of the post, pushing the post to the back, grabbing our yarn, pulling that through, and completing our double crochet. The next post will be a front post double crochet once again, and complete your double crochet. In this chain 1 space, we'll be placing 2 double crochet, 1 and 2, chain 1, and place 2 more double crochet in that same space, and again reaching the next set of 3 double crochet, we'll be doing a front post double crochet around the first stitch, a back post double crochet around the second, and another front post double crochet around the third. In the corner space, place 2 double crochet, chain 1, and 2 more double crochet. So you're just going to repeat that all the way around, and I will meet up with you at the beginning. So I'm going to do this, but I'm not going to be talking through it because it is the same stitch sequence for all 4 sides of this little square. In that last corner space, place 2 double crochet and join to the beginning with a single crochet once again to the top of your first double crochet. I'm going to place a single crochet and stack another one on top. You're free to do a chain 2 or 3. Remember, it does count as a double crochet stitch. Place another double crochet in that same space, and then we're heading right back into our stitch sequence. Every round that you make will start with a front post double crochet around that first post. The next stitch will be a back post double crochet and a front post around the front post stitch of the previous round. So that is what your stitch work will look like for as many rounds as you want to make for your granny square, placing 2 double crochet in every corner space, followed by a chain 1, then 2 more double crochet in the same corner space. That is all you're going to be doing. Remember, every side starts with a front post double crochet, and then a back post double crochet. Keep alternating your work or your post stitches. In every corner, place 2 double crochet, a chain 1 and 2 more double crochet. So now that you have that down, I'm simply going to complete the other 2 sides and end off this granny square, and then we'll move right along to weaving in these 2 tail ends and then crocheting our squares together, so that you can go ahead, make a blanket, make a cushion cover, make whatever you like with your squares. I don't suggest that you make the entire blanket out of one square, because I do find that the corners pull up and it does distort the look of the square eventually, the bigger you grow your square. So if that's something you want to do, by all means go ahead. I think adding tassels in the corners might distract a little bit from the distorted look, but that's completely up to you. I love that people make their own things. I'm going to be placing or joining with a single crochet, and then I'm going to end my work here. You may continue to make your square as large as you like I said. Let me find a tapestry needle and work away these tail ends. For the magic ring, I do like to just tie a quick knot, just in that manner, and then I'm simply going to weave in that tail under a few stitches. Now that I have 4, we're simply going to be joining those. So I'm going to use I'm just going to go with white. It's also a DK weight yarn. I'm going to place a slip knot on my hook, and then just grab 2 of these squares. I've got 2 of the back sides facing. It does not even matter at this point. You could have the 2 front right sides facing. It doesn't matter, because we'll be joining on either side. So if all of your squares are face up now, simply grab 2, put them wrong side against each other, and then you'll have the right side of the work on the outsides. You're going to be joining in the square facing you. Oops, I'm so sorry. So with your slip stitch on your hook, what you want to do is find what appears to be first of all, find your chain 1 in any of the corners, and then put your hook through what appears to be the front loop only. On the other side, find your chain 1 space and place your hook through the back loop of that stitch. Then simply slip stitch, chain 1, and do that again in the next stitch. Front loop on the first square, back loop only on the other square. Slip stitch, chain 1, front loop only, back loop only, slip stitch, and chain 1. Front loop only, back loop only, slip stitch, and chain 1. So let's continue. I'm gonna find my next set of squares, and then again I'll find my chain 1 space, front loop only, on the other one chain 1 space, back loop only. Okay. Slip stitch those two together and chain 1 and continue. So let me finish this up and then we'll meet up. You're not going to be cutting any of your yarn. We are going to cross right over to the opposite side of the work in just a second. So this is what our front of the work should look like. We're going to now flip this over and then work on the back side. I have slip stitched to that last chain space. I'm going to chain 1 and simply flip my squares the other way so that this is what we're looking at. We will now be left with all the unworked loops on this side of the work, and the first one might be a little tricky to find, and so I'm not even going to bother, and I'm simply going to go into that second stitch on both sides and continue joining as we have been. Slip stitch, chain 1, slip stitch, and chain 1. And this is going to allow for a nice and sturdy join, whereby you are essentially working through both loops, just not both loops at the same time. And yeah, you are just strengthening the join as well as making your blanket fully reversible. It looks similar on both sides with the same type of stitches, with the same type of join. I'm at that last stitch, which is my chain, and slip stitching, chain 1, finding the corresponding stitches on the other square. Oops. And continuing down this side as well. So let me finish this up and I will meet you at the end. And that is the end of that row. I've simply snipped off my yarn at the end there. That is what the right side of the work looks like. I think I'm going to join down here as well. Slip stitch on my hook. And then finding my chain 1 space, front loop only. Oh, and then the back loop of the chain 1 space on the other square. Slip stitch, chain 1, and then keep going in that same fashion all the way around to the other side of the work, I mean. I'm gonna continue. Wait, I'll show you how I just move on over the section that we're going to cross in just a second. And then I will move on to the other side off camera. I'm simply going to jump on over, and that is what that cross section should look like. Just do the best you can, find your corresponding stitches and continue, and I'll meet you when I'm ready to cut the yarn on the other side. Okay, I've come to the end of the other side of my work, and I want to return from the wrong side of the work to the front, and I've made my last chain 1, and I'm simply going to slip stitch to any stitch in the front, and for me it is this chain space, and I'm going through both loops because now I'm simply going to do the very same stitch sequence and add a little border to what is now my full blanket. I'm doing a slip stitch, a chain 1, and now I am doing the same stitch sequence into the top of every stitch around. Slip stitch, chain 1, slip stitch, chain 1 all the way around, and I'm creating a lovely little border to this blanket. Your blanket will of course be a lot bigger than mine. This is just a nice way to finish your work off. You can simply in the chain 1 space work around the chain with a slip stitch, chain 1 and another slip stitch, chain 1, and then head on over to the next double crochet and work into the top of the stitch, and that is how you'll turn the corner. Just do a slip stitch, chain 1, slip stitch into every corner space as you reach them, and finish up your blanket with this very cute border. Or don't add a border if you don't want to. Never will I tell you what to do. I've got a chain space over here, and I'm simply going to work into the chain space for a slip stitch, chain 1, head on over to the next, slip stitch and chain 1. So continue with your border if that is what you decided on, and enjoy your blanket. So this is what it would look like eventually. Well, it would lay flatter after blocking each square individually. I did not have the time to do that for this tutorial. You are free to do so. It will just allow for everything to just lay flatter, I would think. And if I knew where my blocking board was right at this very moment, I would show you how to block. I simply spray my squares with a bit of water to dampen, not to soak, just dampen it slightly. Place it between your 4 pegs on your board and simply stack each dampened square for, you know, however many you have, and then let them dry overnight or for 2 days if you wish. Or like me, sometimes I forget them and find them a week later. So yeah, you can do that. You don't have to block your squares if you don't have a blocking board. If you're fine with maybe blocking afterwards, once the blanket is complete, you're simply going to stretch out your squares till they are as flat and stretched as possible, and then maybe pin down the blanket itself. I have done that before. I simply do it on one of the spare beds. I place down a couple of towels and I will simply block the whole blanket in that sense. Again, I will just dampen it and then pin everything down. So that is it for this, what I think is a quick and easy simple square. And to turn it into a blanket, again, super easy and simple. If you don't like this join, do any join of your choice. This is just what I like. I like the look. It almost looks like a little bit of a braid, and I just quite enjoy that effect. So I hope that you've enjoyed this quick tutorial, and I hope that you'll join me in my next one. So see you guys soon. Bye bye.